Hello viewers, it's Evans Racing here, and today we are back for round 4 of our 2022 mod career as Kevin Magnussen in the Haas car, where we will be racing around Emilia in Italy, which is actually one of my favourite tracks. So hopefully we do well, and hopefully we can beat our teammate as he's our main rival for this career. So let's jump straight into qualifying now. So as you can see, we've got heavy rain for our qualifying for today in Imola. It's quite heavy rain, so we're most likely going to be on the full wet tyres. So now we jump onto our outlap for the last 3 corners, and as you can see, we just keep looking up our tyres and we go a bit wide here. But that's because we're just trying to find the grip as it's our first run. And now we come across the line to start our lap, and we speed up the time because only our first lap we need to get used to the conditions. Hopefully it dries up later on in the session. We got the rear end got a bit slidey there, and we lose a lot of time there. When we come up here, we went a bit wide there, going on the uphill section bit here. A bit wide there as well. Now we come up to the last 2 corners, where we have a much more better grip than when we first did it. We come across the line for 1 minute 31.1. So now we jump onto our second and final run of qualifying, where as you can see, the although it doesn't look like the track has dried up a little bit, but we're now on the intermediate tyres, so we're going to be faster. We go across the line to start our lap. We're already 200ths of a second up. As we come through these corners nice and slowly, and we've already gained almost a second out of that corner. Using all the curb on the outside there. Just touching the curb on the inside here and also here. Using all the curb on the outside to get the most amount of traction. Now coming into this corner where we try and hit the apex as close as we can. Use a little bit on the exit. And as you can see, we're 2.3 seconds up on our last run. Come here using a little bit of the curb on the outside. Now come up to the sort of chicane uphill section bit. Flat out now, braking about the just before the 50-meter mark. Looking up our tyres quite a lot there, going quite wide here, but still got enough traction, so we go flat out. Now coming up to the last 2 corners, braking heavy, hitting the apex, using all the curb on the outside bit here, missing the apex there, but using all the curb on the outside again. In the wet conditions, you got used to the outside curve a lot. And now we come across the line.
It's time to hit the grid order for today's exciting race. It's Carlos Sainz.
So this is today's starting grid. We've got Carlos Sainz, who gets pole from yesterday. We've got Lewis Hamilton, the Mercedes, in 2nd place. Then we've got Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, George Russell, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Leclerc, he's had a bad qualifying session, Guan Yu Zhou, Tsunoda, Lando Norris, Bottas, us, Kevin Magnussen in P14, Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher, teammate in 16th, Sebastian Vettel, Alex Albon, Nicholas Latifi, and finally in last place, 20th, we got Lance Stroll.
We head to trackside for today's race.
So this is our strategy for today. We're going to be going on to the soft compound tyre, and then on lap 8 or around lap 8 we'll be pitting and fitting on some fresh mediums. We take a bit of fuel at the car, so we got 0.8 litres of fuel more. Now we come to the 5 red lights, and off we go. And it's Carlos Sainz who gets a decent start here. and we try and go around the outside of our, down the inside of our teammate. And Mick Schumacher had a poor qualifying, has had a poor start to the race, and he's gone down. But he does overtake us, so yeah, he actually makes up for it. And now we see ourselves behind our teammate, coming into these corners here. And we're now into P14. Then we try to go down the inside there, but our teammate closes off the gap, so we have to back out of that. Now we switch back to our onboard now, just trying to stay with our teammate, as now Bottas is trying to make a move, but he decides better off and backs away. We go a bit wide and go over them bumps, which sees Bottas trying to make another move on us, but he backs out again, going a bit wide here. And now using a bit of our ERS. Now braking heavy, just staying behind our teammate for the time being. And now we switch over to where Sergio Perez is trying to make a move on Carlos Sainz for P1. And he goes around the outside, and now we'll have the inside, but Carlos Sainz defends well, and he remains in first place. And we switch back to our onboard now, where we're still behind our teammate, can't make a move yet. Just trying to stay behind him. Went a bit wide there. Locked up a little bit there, and now we come through this corner, keeping it nice and tight to the curb, using a little bit of ERS. Now we come through later. Now we go to the next lap. Now we're now on lap 3, where we still are behind our teammate, and nothing much really happens. Now we come over to these curbs here, going to using all the curb on the exit here. Now now do we make a move here and brake later? No, we don't. We think better off and we stay behind, and we wait patiently for our move, for the next move. And Sergio Perez tries to overtake Carlos Sainz again around the outside, but then we'll have the inside line, and then we'll have the outside line. And Carlos Sainz is defending really good, and he still remains in P1 for now. Now we'll switch over to Guan Yu Zhou, who's right behind, who's that, Yuki Tsunoda, and he goes on the outside curb and he accelerates too much and he goes straight into the wall. Somehow his tyres are still on his car. He's lucky that he hasn't DNF'd here, as he smashes through the sponsor board. He is a lucky person to still be in this race. Now we jump to our onboard, no safety car because he managed to keep the car running. So we carry on and we go really wide here, which sees Bottas trying to make a move around the outside, but we just defend it by braking a little bit more later and closing the gap off, and we are still in P3 as we got upper position because of Guan Yu Zhou spins. And now, as you can see with DRS now, Bottas is giving us a hard time now. He goes around the outside, but we're just going to block off the gap. We go over the curb a little bit, so we give him all the space in the world, and we remain in P13. And now, as you can see, we've lost quite a lot of time to our teammate, so now we just need to put our head down and try and catch up to Mick Schumacher. And now come up to Valtteri Bottas, who now comes in for an early pit stop on lap 5, and will probably be putting on some fresh mediums, most likely, or he could put on some hards. Now we switch over to Yuki Tsunoda, who's trying to make a move on his teammate down the, oh, he's already made it done. Well, that's Yuki Tsunoda up into 9th place.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
And as you heard, we're going to be pitting in 2 laps time for some fresh mediums. Now we switch over to Daniel Ricciardo, trying to make a move around the outside of Sebastian Vettel now have the inside line, and they make contact, and Sebastian Vettel sends Ricciardo spinning, and that's Ricciardo into the wall, and the safety car is out, which means that we will be, as you can see at the bottom right, we are changing our strategy, and we will be pitting this lap instead of laps 8. But like Guanyu Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo is lucky, and he is still in the race for now, because he managed to, although he hit the wall and the safety car's out, he managed to keep the engine running. He's probably got a little bit of damage, so we'll just put on a new front wing, and that'll be it.
Slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
So as you can see, most likely our teammate will be coming into the pits to fit his set of new tyres. So as you can see, I'm just trying to back off now, because we don't want to double stack here. We don't want to lose too much time to our teammate. So as you can see, we just back down, we just slowly go into the pit lane, just to give ourselves that bit of gap to try and reduce the amount of double stacking that will happen. And as you see, the pit lane is chaos. Everyone's coming in the pits, everyone's double stacking, and as you can see, it's just a long line. And there we get held up a little bit by our teammate. And as we fit on the new set of tyres, we get held up by the Williams, although you can't see it right now, but we get held up by Nicholas Latifi, because he gets held up by Albon, and because of F1, it don't allow us to come out of the pit. And for some reason, we go across the white line by accident. Luckily, we don't get a penalty for that. And the safety car's still out. So now we come on to lap 8 now. Well, the end of lap 8 almost, where the safety car is coming in now, and we're now behind Alex Albon because he held us up in the pit lane. So we've gone down by 2 positions. And as you can see, we're going fairly slow through these last few corners, and as you can see, I gave a bit too much gap here, went over the curb a bit too much here, and we have a poor restart, and we lost a bit of time to Albon in front. And Lance Stroll is catching up to us. He must be using all of his ERS, and we'll try and make a move around the outside, and we keep the inside line, and we go to the inside and we push him out, and we keep P15. So now we try and make up the time that we've lost on a restart to Albon now.
The car behind is a second down on you. 1 second.
Using our ERS. And now we switch over to Daniel Ricciardo, who's right behind Nicholas Latifi. And that's Guanyu, who's that? Guanyu Zhou's going slow, and he goes straight into the back of Guanyu Zhou. And that's Daniel Ricciardo out. He's had a poor Imola race weekend. As he's literally just had contact with Vettel, which made him spun, which made him right at the back of the grid. And then he gets hit, and then he goes straight into the back of Guanyu Zhou, who's going very slow, but he's still in the race. Now we come up to lap 11, where we are still behind Alex Albon, because we literally had 1 lap of racing, and then the safety car came straight back out. As you can see, we're just warming up our tyres and trying to warm up the engine as well, because they're a bit cold, as we're weaving side to side behind the Williams. And now can we get a better restart here? It's a better restart from last time, but it's still not the best. But we have to take it, because we can't do anything about it. As you can see, that Williams is just so much more faster than us in the straight line. And now Bottas is trying to make a move around the outside, but we close off the gap on the inside line there. And we remain in P15. As you can see, we gain quite a lot of time through there on the Williams. And through here, we keep it nice and tight to the inside to give us the most amount of traction on the exit. Just trying to stay with him now, coming up to the chicane uphill section of T 11, 12, I think that is, or 9 and 10, I'm not exactly sure. And now come up to Fernando Alonso, who's having an engine failure, and his engine has blown up basically, and he has pulled up to the side here, and that is him out of the race. No safety car this time, just double yellow flag, and that's George Russell trying to make a move on Yuki Tsunoda, as well as Lando Norris is trying to make a move, and Yuki Tsunoda is putting a good effort to defend his position. And we switch over to onboard of George Russell. He makes a bit of contact here. It's now 3 wide, as but Lando Norris backs out of the move. However, Yuki Tsunoda and George Russell are still side by side. Yuki Tsunoda putting up a really good fight, running outside to defend his P6. But that sees George Russell up into P6. But Yuki Tsunoda does not give up on P6, and he goes round the outside, and they're still side by side. We'll now have the inside line, and he backs out and gives George Russell P6 for now. And he goes around the outside. So some really close fighting here. As now we go up the inside of Alex Albon now on lap 13, and as you can, just using all of our straight line speed, as you can see we're fairly similar pace. We brake much later, and he just gives us the place, and now that sees us up into P13 as Yuki Tsunoda goes round the inside of George Russell. They make a bit of contact. George Russell goes a bit wide, which gives Yuki Tsunoda the run, and that's Yuki Tsunoda back up into P6. But George Russell is not going to give it up, just like Yuki Tsunoda did. Yuki Tsunoda has the inside line here. We'll have the inside line again, and that sees himself back up into P6 where he originally was. But George Russell has not got DRS. Oh no, there is no DRS because of the safety car. But Lando Norris makes a move on our teammate Mick Schumacher now, and that puts him up into P8. Now we switch back to our onboard, where we make a move, a dive bomb on Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time world champion. And now we get, now we're just behind Pierre Gasly now in P12.
Stewards have now enabled DRS. DRS is now online.
And as you can hear from our race engineer, DRS is now online. DRS is now online, and we will have that in the next DRS zone, which will basically be the next lap. And now we're just staying behind Pierre Gasly as we make a move again, just like we did on Alex Albon, but we don't get the move done, and we stay in P12. Just trying to break much later into the game as much time as we can on Gasly. Now we come later on in the lap, well, we're now on to the next lap now, lap 15, as we have to brake quite heavy there so we don't make contact with Pierre Gasly, who's going really slow right now, but I think that he's getting held up by some cars in front. As though we make a move around the outside, we brake much later, we're just keeping the outside line, and we go around the outside, and that's us up into P11 as we go quite wide into the gravel trap, and that compromises us, our exit, and now he's having to go at us again. I believe he's got DRS as well, as we go very aggressively to the out. No, that's Mick Schumacher, sorry. And now we're side by side with Pierre Gasly, and we keep P11. And now, who's that? Ocon will be now having a go on Gasly. As now, Lando Norris makes a move on Yuki Tsunoda, as Mick Schumacher tries to also makes a move on Yuki Tsunoda, and that puts Yuki Tsunoda down into P9. Now we switch back to our onboard now, braking quite heavy, and we actually lock up our tyre so we don't go into the back of Esteban Ocon. As now we use all our ERS, now we've only got 8% left, and we go round the outside. Esteban Ocon decides to back out of it. We use all the curb on the outside there, and that's us up into P10, and now we're into the points. And now we switch over to Carlos Sainz, who's coming through the last corner now on lap 16 out of 16, and he comes across the line, and that sees Carlos Sainz, who wins the race, Sergio Perez in second place, Lewis Hamilton in third, and that sees our podium finishers and our race winner for Imola for today. And Yuki Tsunoda is having a poor last lap, as now we're going around the inside, braking much later than Yuki Tsunoda, keeping the inside line, pushing him out wide. And that's us up into P9. We go a bit wide there. We now go into the gravel trap there as well. We come home across the line in P9, which sees us
Okay, pick up
receive
rubber
2
and bring it
points
home.
in the Drivers' Championship and for the Constructors' Championship for ourselves. And it's Mick Schumacher, our teammate, who gets Driver of the Day.
What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So as you can see, it's Carlos Sainz who wins the Imola Romagna Grand Prix. This has got some really long name. So that gives Carlos Sainz the 25 points.
The top spot with today's points. Some amazing talent out on the
And as you can
track
see,
today.
we've got Daniel Ricciardo and Fernando Alonso, who were the only two to DNF this race. And as you can see, Mick Schumacher goes up into P8 in the constructors, into the driver standings. We go down into P13 in the driver standings. We're now 4 points ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, and we are 1 point behind Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas. And we are 4 points behind our teammate, so we need to start being our teammate and start getting into the top 5 if possible, because of how good Schumacher and ourselves are doing. We now look at the constructor standings, and we see ourselves Haas in P4, where we're overtaking Alpine, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. We are now 1 point ahead of Alfa Romeo. The Williams and the Aston Martin still have 0 points so far this career or this season. The Ferrari and Red Bull, we've got some close fight going on with Ferrari only 9 points behind Red Bull. So that is it for today, guys. That is round 4 of our 2022 mod career as Haas, well, as Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. And if you have enjoyed it, please do give it a like, subscribe down below for more racing content. As we've had a chaotic race, we've had 2 safety cars, lots of spins, lots of crashes. I will see you guys in the next race, which I believe will be in Spain, where hopefully we can see our teammate. Hopefully we can beat our teammate in the around Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Summer